Hello, hello, and welcome. Welcome to Networking Co-working for this first of a series event. I think ever done in Bulgaria? I'm not sure, but I'm just guessing. I would like to call Christo come on stage. This is Christo Pe, founder of Motion Software. He just exited shortly. Congrats. Take your seat, maybe here. Thank you. Next, I would like to call on stage Velko Velkov from Sofia Municipality, Innovative Sofia program. Velko, come on stage. Hello. Sit here. Next, I would like to call on stage Karina Hirtich. I hope I almost teach me. How? Karina Hirtich. She is from Native Teams, and she's the organizer of this event. And last but not least, Tali Goren, who is a remote worker working from Bulgaria and global mobility expert. Welcome on stage. So my name is Emil Shekerjisky. I work here in the co-working. We are going to discuss openly about working remotely from Bulgaria. I think this is the combination out of heaven, like finding a job remotely and working in Bulgaria and spending the money in Bulgaria. What can be better than this? Nothing. Okay, you can take the chairs down if you're not feeling comfortable. First thing, we will speak about the play with it, huh? It's cool. So first we will speak about the challenges working remotely. It's difficult for some of you, difficult to open a bank account. It's difficult to deal with the bureaucracy, especially if you don't speak the language. So let's elaborate about that. What do you think are the challenges? Maybe Tali is a foreigner. What do you think are the challenges in working remotely?
So you are starting with the challenges.
Yeah.
Well, I think remote work, when you were a remote worker, maybe to me, one of the biggest challenges is actually not just the culture and everything that you mentioned, but maybe also the loneliness and working from home, away from the company. So not being part of my company and not have a group, reference group here that is surrounding me.
So this is the psychological effect. It is the difficulty. It might have no solution, this one.
I think you have the solution.
Co-working community, yeah, it is a solution. Karina, what do you think? You're also a foreigner. You're coming from Kazakhstan, right?
Yes, I am. I'm in Bulgaria for 8 years, but I'm working remotely for 2 years. I think the biggest challenge in Bulgaria with anything is the admin part and all the bureaucracy that comes with it, because it's hard to find relevant information. It's hard to find what exactly you have to do, what are the solutions, what are the, finding the right accountants, lawyers, everyone else who can help you. So for me, when I was, trying to work remotely, it was really hard to understand how I can be here, stay here legally, pay taxes, but at the same time have a foreign employer. So I think out of everything, the admin part is definitely the most difficult one.
How did you solve this admin bridge?
I went through all kinds of different solutions. I was working for a friend's company, then I established my own company when I got my permanent residency. And then, for example, I learned about the employer of record services, that companies such as provide.
Maybe explain about people who doesn't know what is employee of record.
So basically, employer of record companies, they allow you to be locally employed because they already have an entity in a given country. So that's why if your company doesn't have an office, let's say in Bulgaria, but a company that has employer of record services does, you're employed through us, but you continue working for some other company. If that makes sense.
So basically, if you want to work legally in Bulgaria by yourself, you need to open a company here and take accounting, form the formation, and basically you're skipping this. You're becoming an employee of a mid company that they have the entity, and you're getting salaries from them.
Exactly.
And they are getting paid from the company.
Yes. So they have a B2B contract, with the local entity here and the actual employer, but literally employer on record. They stay, just for the record, sort of here. And you become a legal employee.
Mm-hmm. So the elephant in the room, I'm Jewish. How much does it cost? How much are you losing in the way when there is a big middleman?
Well, it depends on which company, right? I know that, for example, Deal, Remote.com, they actually charge really high prices because they started with the focus on Western Europe and the US. So it can be up to $600 per employee. Let's for a company, we started with the base, and that price is lower. So it ranges, depends on the salary, between $40 to like, let's say $160 for Western European countries that, you know, with the higher
Per month.
salaries. Yes, per month.
It's
So,
not a lot, it's a little.
yeah, I mean, depends based on
If you think about standard accounting in Bulgaria, it might
Exactly.
cost you between 200 to 800 leva, so it's...
Yeah, for sure. So this is what I was paying before for my accountants, like 100 euros per month, plus, you know, lawyer, plus, so actually to pay, let's say, $40 and, you know, and be done with everything. So, yeah, but maybe, Christo, you have something to say?
Sure, thank you. I would add one more challenge. We have the community challenge, we have the administration challenge, and something that I found as a remote worker and lately as a remote employer, it's very important to work with companies and for companies who really know how to treat and how to work with remote workers. Because nowadays it's super trendy to work with people from anywhere, but you cannot simply replicate your standard processes and the way you've been communicating, the way you've been even behaving with your employees in the remote setting, since it's simply very different experience. It's become way more virtual, way asynchronous, and culturally different.
Yeah, it seems to be a bigger problem than only for remote workers, also for people working from home, right? The same obstacle, how to give the culture through the digital world.
You're raising another great question, because you can work from home, but also you can work from anywhere. And typically the companies that allow hybrid mode of work, they think that their employees will work either from home or from the office. But the reality is that nowadays people would like to work from different places. For example, I would like to go to my village house for 2 months and work from there. In the summer, I want to go on a seaside villa and work from there. In the winter, I want to go skiing in the Alps and work from there. And if my employer thinks that the only remote working is working from home, actually, I'm not able to achieve this lifestyle and this freedom of being wherever I want, which is actually still hurting the employers, because many remote workers choose companies who offer 100% remote options, which means that you can be really everywhere.
I feel that we went away from the topic a little bit. It's a much bigger problem that we all of us having right now. Okay, I will ask now maybe to switch to the opportunities and the solutions and the better, why it's better above the obvious, and talk about the obvious. Maybe I'll give the word to Velko to tell about this.
Oh, first of all, thank you. And I'll start with, we seen the employee perspective, and now we gone to also the employee perspective. And my perspective would be, I'm a hybrid worker myself. With a lot of the projects that we do at Innovative Sofia, there are international projects, so that'll mean having to participate in calls and meetings with people from different places, not only from EU, but also, for example, tomorrow morning we're going to have a meeting with a team from Korea. So a lot of time there's the logistics that'll be very much an obstacle that needs to be overcome. But the good thing is, I like that you brought up the word asynchronous, because there is a model for remote work. So there's 5 different levels, which was proposed by the founder of WordPress, Mark Mullenbeck. And the 5 levels goes as such. So at the first level is there's nothing. Second level is you recreate the office environment virtually. And then at the third level, so at the second level, you're recreating the environment virtually. So you're still going to have the same meetings that you'll have in the conferences room and such, but instead you're just going to use them on Microsoft Teams, Zoom. On the third level, you're really using the advantage of the medium. So that'll mean you'll be using the shared documents, shared calendars. You can be working on the same document at the same time with different people. You're using networks such as Slack and such to really keep in contact and to add the human element to the remote work. The fourth, and this is where asynchronous comes in. So this is when the team can be effective even though you're not working at the same time. So you can be working with someone that's located on the opposite side of the world, but still the efficiency is there, if not even better, from being stuck in the same office environment. And the fifth one, it's the nirvana level, it's the top level. So that's when we really truly are using the digital medium to our advantage, and we're not just simply stuck in the old mindset of how to make the office work in a digital environment.
What is the fifth step, like taking advantages?
Just imagine the fourth step, but in its most idealized version of it.
Where are we at the moment?
Most companies, they're stuck at the second level. So we're still, if we see calendars, they're like stuck between different meetings, and the whole day is just this meeting on Zoom, this meeting on Teams and such. It's just simple, pretty much it. Most companies that are with employing more millennials and Gen Zs, they're really taking advantage of the medium and trying to adapt more to the environment. I've seen people that are using Discord and servers and such for work purposes, which is try to teach someone that is like 40 or 50 to use Discord server for work purposes. Not very much an easy task, but they are growing with the digital tools, and they're going to adapt the environment towards the fifth idealized version of remote work.
Okay. Tali?
Yeah, I would actually like to tap on that question for why do work remotely from Bulgaria? And because we started with the challenges, but I do want to start with to go back to the opportunities, because we've been living and working remotely here for 1 year now. And I can say that Bulgaria is offering us something that we never experienced before. And we have a little bit of experience. We lived just in the last 25 years in more than 10 different countries. A bit of experience, and definitely Bulgaria is giving us something we didn't experience before. So you already said the cost of living compared to salary, but that's just one thing. The big thing, I started with loneliness, and I was referring to the office and working with the company. But the other side of it is actually the friendliness of the Bulgarians, and it's actually the first place in all our trips around the world where we actually managed to create real friendships. And the welcoming face of the Bulgarians it was just a big surprise for us. So this for us is one huge benefit of Bulgaria. And this just adds up to really high-speed internet. I mean, I was doing a show today with people from England and people from the US. My manager is sitting in the US, and she keeps having disruptions. And when I send her my speed check, she's stunned. So
it's on your TV.
I think there's no other equivalent to it in Europe and probably in the world, to the speed of the internet.
One
here.
of the fastest.
Yes,
definitely.
yes. And bureaucracy, I must say that to us, that was another surprise, because again, it really, it depends on what you compare it to. So if you compare it maybe to English-speaking countries where you can do everything easily in English, maybe it's harder here. But if you compare it to countries like France or Italy, when we tried to see what would be the procedure to establish your own company there, well, it was so much easier here in Bulgaria, and in less than 1 month, we were already done with that. So that was another huge benefit.
How did you manage to do it in 1 month, technically?
Sorry, coming again?
How did you manage to do it in 1 month, technically, like?
We took a lawyer. of course, Bulgarian, speaking the language, which helped us go over this barrier. We have an accountant that is helping us. I mean, almost everyone that all service providers, they are speaking English and a good English. So it was really easy to handle. And yes, in less than 1 month, we had our visa fixed, and we had our company established, and everything
And
worked
you are not
properly.
even from the AU, right? You are from...
I am,
you are,
yes,
okay.
I am. But my husband is not residency to open the company. So we did that in that time. We opened the bank account, we rented an apartment, everything in this month. So by the end of that month, we were
This
done.
is another obstacle. If some of you people know how difficult it became to open a company bank account that has a foreign holding in it. It's extremely difficult, and I think the solution that you're offering can solve this gap. Can you tell us more about it?
Yes, this as well. So yeah, basically, as a foreigner here, it's really hard to open a open a business bank account, to get your documents done, especially non-EU people. I see there are a lot of non-EU friends that I have in the audience, and they for sure know what challenges I'm talking about. But yeah, that's why, for example, yeah, companies like in our sector, right? They can help bridge that gap by doing this, for the people themselves, because we have a Bulgarian, representative, lawyer, accountant. We take the responsibility, and we help these people get legally employed, and we also even help establish businesses as well, like establish business entities.
If someone chooses to do it
Yes,
alone.
yes, exactly. Yeah, this is a one employed to have a labor contract, to get their stash going, and to have insurance and pensions and these kind of things. So that's why this is a more popular service for us. And this is why, for example, freelancers or others do this too. Or yeah, if you have to have a work permit here, this is the only way. You cannot get the work permit through a business in Bulgaria. You have to have a Bulgarian employer.
You mean to get a work permit if
Like a blue
you own
card.
the business?
Yes.
Like you need either to be employed in other business.
Yes.
So if technically you're employed in your type of service, then you have this employment, and you might get the visa easier.
Yes.
Did I get you correctly?
Yes, exactly. I mean, because if you, as a foreigner, open a business in Bulgaria, I think you have to employ something like 12 Bulgarian citizens or something like this. So it's hard to do it, on a smaller scale. So the only way to get the blue card is to be employed by a Bulgarian employer. So
Yeah, this by alone, I think, is quite a good solution.
yeah, for sure.
Okay, do you want to speak about more challenges and obstacles on the way to help other people do this gap when they do this gap?
I mean, I think in the admin stuff lies the opportunity as well, right? Because businesses who can speed up these things, who can solve these things, are actually can flourish, right? And to develop solutions like this. And especially if you're an EU citizen moving here, the only thing you need to do is to have
This is very simple. This is like you can work from day one, get residency.
And yet there's another challenge, which is not at the level of the employees, it's more at the level of the employers. So say an English company who wants to hire me living in Bulgaria, this company will run the risk of creating a permanent establishment in Bulgaria, which that they will need to take care of taxes, liabilities, employment laws, immigration, so a whole lot of issues that they will have to deal with if they want to employ me directly here as a Bulgarian resident. And the employer of record is actually solving this. So that English company would sign a contract with the employer of record, and the employer of record will take care of me as an employee and make sure that I receive all the
Christo, do you have experience with solutions that those companies, foreign companies, are finding for now?
Sure, yeah. Over the years, we've been performing all kind of services to help foreign companies hire people across the region, and also to move foreign companies to Bulgaria. And we've seen all kind of different cases, both unsuccessful. but definitely using an employer of record service is the easiest thing. Even for our company, we started founding our own entities in different countries, and at some point we realized that that's too costly, you become dependent on local people to run your entities and so on. And we simply took the decision to go with service like native teams. So that's definitely the future. And to be honest, in the next 5-10 years, what I see is that things like native teams become simply like a technological layer which you can plug in from anywhere in the world and start hiring people in any country with super fractionless experience.
Native team and the other companies like the
Yeah. Our
Sorry for the
other companies like Motion Software, if you mean, our focus is not on that service so much, like that's something like complementary. We focus more on the actual employment experience that you have, like being part of a community, having the right benefits, having the right equipment, having the best possible recruitment process. So we can add these features as add-ons to like the core.
Can you tell more about it? What exactly do you do? How do you do that? How do you?
We really try to implement our core values, which are constant self-improvement and empowerment of the remote workers. So we put them in a community and environment which allows them to learn, to grow, and to be together with like-minded individuals. And this is our focus. We organize events, retreats, outposts. We take the people to work together from a hut in the mountain for a week in the winter, or from like a great camping on the seaside. And we simply create this community vibe and this family spirit, which remote workers really miss, because typically they're the only employee in a given country.
It's a good way. It's connected to the first thing that we mentioned.
Exactly, we're kind of closing the
Closing the
circle because exactly, and this is exactly the problem and the solution. So if my company, my English company, they're hiring, they only have me. I mean, even if they would have decided to open a company, to open an entity here, still it would be only me, maybe one more employee. They won't be able to give me too much benefits. They won't in this country, as opposed to, for example, England, where they have 100 employees, and then they can give them all sorts of benefits.
We as a co-working come into play.
Exactly. However,
as parties and events.
Exactly. However, the co-work, the places that can centralize, so connect all these remote workers together, these are the places that have the power to provide these benefits and to provide the culture, which is exactly what I'm missing. So to provide some kind of a place where we can share ideas, where we can work together, where we're not going to feel alone, have the power of giving benefits, but also have the power of being together.
Great. I would like to give the last word for this topic about Sofia specifically. What are the benefits of Sofia in this entire ecosystem of working remotely?
Well, for one thing, you did mention one of the fastest internets, along with Romania and Greece recently. Apparently, they just opened up the data down south. So the benefits of working in Sofia. So first of all, when it will be the cost of living, and also be just a lot of the people over here, they speak English, so it's a very foreigner-friendly environment. And also one thing that we have to commend the Startup Association, BESCO, is last year, well, this year or last year, I'm not exactly sure when, but the startup visa was possibly one of the most exciting developments happening, because it will make the whole bureaucracy process even easier for new startup companies to establish themselves here, so we can attract even people from other places in the European Union and abroad. So we're more and more looking forward to develop Sofia as a innovation hub that will attract local talent, international talent, and it would pretty much be one of the places for Southeastern Europe for the ICT sector.
And I think it's actually happening. Sofia is in the top 30 cities in the world for digital nomads. It's also getting this record according to the super high rating in safety. You can go anywhere at night. It's something that is obvious to us, but not obvious in many other cities. Along with the co-working, with a great co-working environment in Sofia, giving a high record, the internet speed, all of this, I think number 20 something in the world, you know, much better than many bigger cities that you can imagine, like Berlin. It's better here, is better than Berlin in this rating, better than Istanbul. We have a pride and a good food. We should say about the good food something, right? We cannot miss it.
Of course, with the cultural aspect will definitely be more appealing to people from like other places, but also in the Financial Times rankings for the last 2 years, Sofia has been improving in a lot of different areas. So it's very good time to be working together and making sure that it even becomes a better place for not only for international remote workers, but also for people from Bulgaria as well.
True. One last thing to close the panel. Practical advice, whoever is in the crowd, whoever is at home, how to find a remote job and stay in Bulgaria. It might seem obvious, but...
I can start because I was searching for a job for a long time, and honestly, I know there are hundreds of sites that you can apply to, and there are remote specific sites and all kinds of sites for startups and everything. But to me, honestly, the most effective was LinkedIn. I just put, for example, UK, I think in the country, and now you have hybrid. I think searching for hybrid as well because I was hoping for a relocation, but in the current state of the world, I figured that probably being based here, working remotely is the best place, and then I can relocate myself just for fun. So I think I put Germany, UK, and a few other countries, filtered by remote, and just applied everywhere. And this
very
is the
practical.
Most effective. Yeah, I mean, just hundreds. It's a numbers game in the end of the day. So
Tali?
yeah.
You took LinkedIn from me because definitely LinkedIn is the place, and creating the best profile you can, investing in your profile, that would be the main suggestion. But also, you don't have to seek for a remote work. Be courageous. So be courageous, be innovative. If you like a company, just go straight up. And I can say that that's how I got my job. I just went straight up to the CEO of the company, that I liked this company. He told me, but we can't hire you in Bulgaria. But I convinced him we can find a solution, and here I am.
Cool.
Definitely LinkedIn is a great channel. I would say something else to check what companies are famous of being fully remote. Because on LinkedIn you can find lots of jobs saying remote, and then on interview they tell you, yeah, but every Friday you need to be in the office, which is killing like the whole experience. And checking what companies are good, also being among remote workers is great, because as we all know, the most the greatest shortcut to getting hired in on a job is to know someone from the company who can recommend you. So that's an advice I can give.
A bit important, like if I don't know someone from a UK company, maybe look for second, third connection, add connection to them. And because they're getting paid for the referral. So if they're interested, even they don't you to refer your CV.
Or simply check where their employees hang around and what events they organize, so attend them, get to meet, get to know the people, and now you have friends there.
Cool.
Oh, for me, I was one of the people that got back to Bulgaria. Because prior to me joining municipality, I was studying in China, and once 2020 happened, I discontinued my studies because I wasn't exactly sure what's going on. So for me, as long as I came back to Bulgaria and in Sofia, for me it was important to find something over here, and I was open to different
How did you find the work in municipality?
It was a job fair. It's the very basic answer. Just go for the traditional sources, either online or offline. But really, my advice would be, again, the company culture is important. So see what is actually in the policy, what is the company like, and also be open to finding things from other industries, something that you're not really experienced with, because I'm from a business background and I ended up in the public sector, and a lot of things can happen.
Cool, cool.
So stay open-minded. That would be my practical advice.
Okay, thank you. Now we will do a Q&A. Whoever like to ask something is welcomed.
Okay, so when you're hiring,
I will reply your
when you're hiring people into your organisations that you're promoting remote working, how do you assess whether the individuals you're hiring are going to be sort of be able to cope with that culture? How do you make sure they're going to be able to work?
Okay, so the question is how you will be able to determine and evaluate and assess if the employee is going to merge well into this culture and work remotely in this job, right? I got you. How do we trust people for remotely if you give them this freedom?
Okay. So I think probably prior experience of a person is important. So if you know, if, like, I'm trying very hard to not sound stereotypical, right? But you know, for example, yeah, if the person has worked for remotely before, this is for sure an indicator that they have experience with this, right? On the other hand, I think if the I think now it's just become easier for anyone to work remotely, to be honest, and the people who know that they cannot do this, they probably that's immediately anyway. I have some friends who said that they have to work from the office, you know, even after the whole pandemic happened and everything. So would just, you know, not click the, let's say, the remote filter, but would click the hybrid one already. So I feel like, yeah, because of different cultural experience companies can now offer, even remotely, or different team buildings, you know, flying in people together for a certain period of time or something, anyone can adjust to it pretty easily. And those who are definitely not a good fit, they're self-filtering by default. I would say that.
Okay, check for past experience, like any other job, check for past experience.
I would say also to add self-initiative. Self-initiative person that has that can work by himself, can manage himself, and doesn't need someone to be watching him the whole time. So the self-initiation is something important.
Taxing and social security, like how do you
Okay, the question is what do we do with taxes and social security?
Yeah, I can. Yes, I can speak at least on behalf of our company. So yeah, in each country different. For example, we have 40 plus countries, so it varies. But we usually have a good local lawyer or some sort of other legal partner and an accountant, and they take care of these things. And it can get a bit complex. For example, with the invoices, you know, or when you have different entities, different bank accounts, VAT registration, and these kind of things. So definitely good local partners are needed. And if we don't have the knowledge, we just pay someone else to do it. So this is why it's important to make partnerships with, good law firms, good accountants, or like startups, like Wisp Health, for also help foreigners with this. So, yeah.
Let's say I have a friend who was working for a Canadian company, and she left Canada like a year ago already. She was living in Mexico and France. Now she came back to Bulgaria, and her company was like, hello, like you're not living here anymore, and you're going around, like you should choose a base.
Okay, so the question is, let me just repeat you and you can continue. The question is about a friend that working for a Canadian company is moving between countries, and the Canadian company suddenly decided, okay, this guy is not already in Canada, so he's not paying taxes there and not health insurance. Continue.
They kind of forced her to establish a base, and become something like a contractor, then she kind of had to open up a company in Bulgaria.
So the company forced her basically to find a base, stop being a nomad, and to open an entity there and invoice the company in Canada, right?
Yeah, because she has to recite like a specific amount of days.
Yeah. So basically she had to fill a certain against different countries. This is the question.
Yeah, so in the EU, you can only have one labor contract. So that's why you, yeah, for example, you cannot, yeah, have work for for a Bulgarian and for a German employer at the same time. And in Bulgaria, you don't have a digital nomad visa, unlike in many other countries. So that's why the only way here is to be legally employed, yeah, through either your company's entity or employer of record, or yeah, go to a country where they, for example, Portugal or now Spain. I saw just today that they're doing this, or some other countries where they have digital nomad visa, and I guess there it would differ. So you have.
Yeah, if we're looking at it from the side of the Canadian company, basically the problem is a problem of compliance in a few levels. So the level of the immigration, the level of employment laws, and the one who's exposed is the company. So if your friend is working in different places, maybe she won't be caught not paying taxes, but the company will be exposed to liability to the countries where this girl was working from. And this is why nowadays many companies are establishing very strict rules that to where you can work from and for how many days. So, for example, Intel now is giving 60 days a year where you can work from wherever you want in the world, because 60 days a year will not expose the company. So you can still work 60 days and the immigration is still fine, and the taxes are still fine. But once you go over that, it exposes the company, and then the company will ask your friend to decide where she's working from. She could work from a country where they have an entity, and then they can pay taxes and arrange her visa and take care of all of that. Or they can come to employer of record and actually ask them to establish all these liabilities in front of the country where she's living.
I just want to say one last thing. The good employers will find a way to make you compliant anywhere around the world.
Yes.
I have a question. How do you handle work accidents?
Okay, the question is, how do you handle work accidents?
Maybe I can answer this one. You handle them the same way you would handle them if they happen in the office. So probably, that's also a question of how we read the law. But if the work accident happens during work time, and in your contract it said that you can work remotely, probably that will be considered as a work accident, and you need to handle it as you do it. You have insurances, you have policies for that, and so on. And the good thing is that once you have all these things in place, you as an employer and also your employees will be safe.
How do you prove that it's work-related and not because I went extreme kayaking or something during
Okay,
work?
the question is, how do you prove that it's work-related and it's not happening in some extreme sports, like kayaking, for example?
Yeah, the same way you prove they have stolen your car, but you didn't steal it yourself. I mean, there are people who can investigate that, and there will be lawsuits and so on if they see that you're trying to cheat the system
It's
somehow.
not an easy topic. I think we don't have enough expertise.
Yeah, but again, that explains why employer of record is so necessary, because again, imagine the situation of that Canadian company that is hiring an employee that is now living in Bulgaria. They don't have an entity here. The employee had an accident. What are they going to do? How are they going to take care of that? And that's where the employer of record comes into place. He has an establishment here. He has insurance here. He takes care of the employee as a local employee.
Okay. Yes?
I have two questions. First one is you mentioned that you try to change remote working, right? Like remote working is a big topic now, but most of the companies provide their employees with equipment they cannot move easily from their home, like those big computers and so on, which actually stops the whole purpose of remote working, because you said it, remote work means I can be everywhere. I can be with my family, I can go ski, I can go...
Okay, so the question is, what happens in jobs and companies that gives equipment to do the job? It's kind of breaking the entire concept of remote working.
Because at the same time, when you say remote, you actually mean you're going to work from home, not from my office, you're going to work from
They
home.
might allow you working from home in your own country, but then maybe bringing some equipment, physical computers, whatever there is. How do we solve that? You cannot travel with a 8-kilogram printer, right? You can copy.
Yeah, that's another challenge, by the way, the challenge of information security. So once people are starting to travel around the world with their work laptops, that's another threat. And I can say that all the questions that are raising are really common questions that are coming up in discussions in the global mobility world, and there aren't really solutions yet. So what the global mobility world is trying to find solutions for these questions. Definitely some companies will limit the countries where you can go to because of information security. So you can have your work laptop, you can travel around, but not to anywhere. And you'll be limited and your IP will be tracked, so to make sure that all the assets of the company are in certain countries and not in other countries where the risk is high. Employer of record can also give an answer, because other questions to the actual assets that you get from the company. So it's a laptop, but also what about a comfortable chair, ergonomic table? These are things that your employer needs to consider, and the employer of record and the culture that they're creating, and when they are taking care of your whole surrounding, they also will look at that, at these kind of things.
Christo?
The truth is that we could and will have a startup for all these problems. So the industry is super young, and what I would suggest to everyone is simply to start building solutions to all these problems.
Great advice.
Like security main connections. So some companies
Yes, I know it. No.
Solution, but it might not be enough. Sometimes there is some company, Israeli scale focus, that giving this kind of bridge between the laptop and the company inside. There are solutions that we are aware of, but still now the market is open, as Christo said, for any. Do you have any other questions? The second one, or they're both at the same? Go ahead.
I wanted to say that I have actually a different opinion, because if the VPN and all of the information can work on that big computer, right? It works on the laptop, but you let's start from the BPO companies, and first level almost is the agent, right? And the agent is usually stuck with that big computer, but if you become a shift leader, you get the laptop and you can travel around. I don't mean like abroad or something. I mean in your country. So the difference, like how come the agent is not able to move around, but the shift leader is, and they're using the same VPN, they're using the same information, they have access to the same database.
They can purchase those old computers.
Okay, so there is a question of
different
different positioning, that a position of agent and position of team leader, they have different rights in the company. So have you seen different rights like this, moves of travel for some position and for others not? Whether they're using the same? Have you seen something like this, Christo?
Yeah, I've seen it, and I would say these are bad companies because they cannot provide equal opportunity to their workers.
Yes, that's what I meant.
Okay. Please don't mention names. Please don't mention names. Another question, or that's it?
Oh, my second question was.
We have a comment here.
I was just have one quick comment. Bring back to that a good company will find a solution for the traveling workers, but also a good company would be when looking to support the workers, be it with ergonomic chairs, but also something that doesn't get mentioned enough with with the necessary sound equipment and cameras. Because imagine how many calls or webinars were ruined by bad sound in something. It looks very unprofessional, and not enough people are looking forward to it. So in most cases, some people that have to invest in their own equipment, use their own stuff, and not being provided with the stuff that's needed for the company for company uses. This is something that should be taken notice of. So exactly, good companies should be able to also support their employees, not only themselves.
If I can add, so for example, our company, we also, like from the employer perspective, we have, which is like software and hardware like purchase. So if a company has one employee here, they don't want to ship something over from there, we can do, like, we can buy this on the spot, for example, for you. But for example, I had a call with another startup, and what they do is they do this rental, like they just rent out the equipment. Because they're based, let's say, in Bulgaria, they give it to, to an employee temporarily. If the employee is fired or quits or whatever, they just pick it back up, and the employer doesn't own any equipment, doesn't have to deal with it, doesn't have to, if it breaks, if if they quit, if they travel or something like this. So I think there are like these
rent is a good
partnerships
solution.
but
then it's open to a software that can connect it.
Yeah.
A more complex solution than a VPN. Cool. Yes.
Can you elaborate what's the difference of basic or staff model, like tech or staff?
Can you repeat it?
What's the difference with our staff? In countries, there are a lot of companies that provide our staff services. So basically, you get employed with one company, like example, Bulgarian based, and you can work for another client, but you like working for one particular client, like a lot of clients.
Okay.
So what's the difference?
The difference between outstaffed, the different names, and this remote work.
Work for different clients, and our staff, you're working for one particular client.
Okay, so basically outstaffed it when you are employed in one company and work for one client, external client. Did we get you correctly? Yeah. What is the difference? There is quite a lot of differences, but let's...
First, I would like to say that every company is using the same words for different things. So terminology is, for one company, outstaffing is one thing, for another company is completely different. So in one company, it could mean that you work for one client for years, in another means that every month you change your customer. So it's a question about terminology, I would say. Although it's a huge topic, so if you want, we can discuss it after the panel.
In my case, like I have a contract with my employee, and in like a few months, I need to find a base to reside somewhere, and I want to have a permanent in Bulgaria. So I'm just, I have like our staff companies, and I can ask them, and why would I go to you? Like, what's the...
Okay, let me repeat the question. So she's employed, and her employer asked her to find the base. She's currently outstaffed, and she needs to find a base to continue the same job as in a constant location, and she considers Bulgaria, right? Let's sell Bulgaria.
No, I think Bulgaria is sold for you, right, already. So, but I mean, if you work on local entity here, then
They don't.
so then this is what EOR does, right? We have a local entity here, and we can apply for Blue Card for you through, and you continue to work for them, like.
The question
So
is, what will the company need to do? Her is okay.
Yes. So basically, your employer signs an agreement with us. So we are B2B partners, and we are like it's an master of service agreement. Then we apply for, like we employ you through us. We give you a labor contract, according to the blue card standards, like the salary, the whatever documents, recommendation letters, this kind of stuff. We apply to migration for you as you are an employee in our company. We prove your uniqueness and this kind of things. And then when everything is done, you continue working for your employer, but you stay employed through us. And basically that's it. Does it answer your question or no? Yes.
Cool.
We just did this like 2 days ago. We applied like this for a permit for someone from Kyrgyzstan, and waiting now for yeah.
Yes.
The contract that, let's say, I sign with your company, would it be identical to what I would have with my original company? Or do you like tweak it a little bit to make it fit?
Okay, so the question is, follow up on this question from another person, is whether she will keep the same contract that she has with her mother company or the original company. Will she have the same terms with you?
It will depend, because if the contract complies with the blue card standards, then you can keep the absolute same position, this kind of stuff. But if it doesn't, then we have to adjust. For example, I don't know, to make it from HR assistant to HR manager, right? Or like to change the code of the or something like this. But just perfectly eligible then.
My contract with you says that I have 20 vacation days, but my company generally offers 25. Would I actually have 25 or 20?
You can agree with your employer. So like you can agree on this with them, which one has the power for vacation days or something like this.
I can say from the employee side that it's very hard to fully replicate the contract. So yes, vacation day is one thing, because obviously the bank holidays in Bulgaria, or the number of bank holidays in Bulgaria is different than in the original country. For example, in my case, England. So obviously it will be different. It also depends on the employer of records. Some would be more flexible in fitting the original contract. Some would be less. Sometimes you as an employee will have to insist in order to make sure that they do this flexibility and adjust the contract. Something they would be able to adjust. So if you have, for example, a certain bonus in your original contract, replicating it in the contract with the employer of record is possible. However, if the company has a special benefit of insurance, local insurance, or a benefit of, for example, some kind of a club or something in the original country, it would be harder to replicate it here. Although that's a challenge for the employer of record to come up with a solution to that. Again, young industry, and the solutions are there to be found.
There was another question, or a couple of questions, yeah?
Do you handle like promotions on several basis? Like, for example, I want to grow in my company.
But you're just the employer of record, right? So if your employer gives you a promotion, they just adjusted the salary in your file or in your account, right? Because there's a platform, and that's it. If they
who's negotiating? You are the provider. So
I think.
yeah, only you. This is between you and the employer. We're just really literally employer of record, and we don't deal with bonuses, promotions, titles, like these kind of things. So this is up to you and whatever grows well with your company.
One more question. It might be the last. Yes?
I have a very specific question about my insurance. Can you hear me?
yeah.
Okay. It's called PI.
Yep.
Okay, I would like to repeat the question. It was, so you're a freelancer?
I have a question about specific insurance called PI.
Okay, the question is about a specific insurance called PI.
For example, in our company, we had clients that required that insurance for their customers, and we provided it. Since our model is super flexible and customizable, although some other providers would not help you with that, and you need to find it from a third-party insurance company.
Do you
Absolutely.
provide
Get
solutions?
in
Can
touch
you
with
use
us after this.
Bulgarian
global.
or Western insurance?
It's just about how much you pay to your insurer at the end.
Okay, thank you. I'm glad that we had this panel. I'm glad for the questions. I'm thanking you for coming, all of you, and sharing with your experience. I think it has a major value to Bulgaria, to Sofia, and to the employees, and also to the employers. Actually, it's multi-win situation, and we must expose it and talk about it as much as we can. So thank you for being here. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
For organizing.
Thank you.